And the bank up here is one of the reasons why. And the state of Ohio sent our equivalent back then of the National Guard to seize the assets of the Federal Reserve, because the state of Ohio back then felt that the federal government was illegally pilfering through the taxes of the fine residents of Ohio, and they raided the bank. So we'll go up here in a second, and I'll read to you the story of what happened. Now, the state of Ohio never became, or at least Chillicothe now, did not become the site of the Federal Reserve. Yep, it's in Chillicothe. So this town did not become the site of the Federal Reserve. It ended up in Cleveland, which I guess, you talk to some historians, they believe that Cleveland would have, could have also ended up the capital of Ohio. The capital of Ohio is Columbus. So, okay, banking crisis of 1819, and I'll read this to you. To provide direction and stability to the economy, Congress created the nation's largest lending agency in 1860. The second Bank of the United States branches were established around the country, two of them in Ohio, Chillicothe and Cincinnati. The Chillicothe branch was located in a building on this site. The presence of these branches adversely affected the ability of state-chartered and independent banks, which had long printed and lent their own money without the backing of specie, meaning in the state of Ohio, banks were creating their own independent currencies. When the Secretary of Treasury forced the state-chartered and independent banks to redeem their notes, which would have been Federal Reserve notes. This is pre-Hamilton, if memory serves me right, which would have been before 1850. A sharp recession hit the nation in 1819, which was, there was a recession, of course, during the Civil War. Before that, there was the recession of, it was about 1850, and then there was a recession in 1819, which Hamilton blamed on all this crap. A wave of protest arose from those connected with these banks. In February 1819, Ohio's General Assembly levied a tax of $50,000 on each of the two branches. Okay, I thought it was 20 grand they stole. Is 50, or they didn't, is it theft when your state of Ohio goes in and takes money from the feds? $50,000 on each of the two branches, and the bank officers were given until September the 1st to comply with the law. Compiled on the other side. The state's new bank tax was to be collected by the state auditor, Ralph Osborne. If payment was refused, Osborne was authorized to search the bank under what has been termed the crowbar law, and to seize sufficient money to pay the tax. Osborne hired John Harper to collect the tax in Chillicothe, which is where I am now. And on September the 17th, 1819, with the help from Chillicothe, Thomas Orr's a famous guy, and James McAllister, I haven't heard of him before, Harper asked the bank officials to comply. When they refused, the three men forced their way into the bank vault and carried off assets of more than $100,000. Ohio's bank tax, which was involved the issue of state versus federal government and the rights, was fought until the Supreme Court in the case of Osborne v. the Bank of the United States decided in favor of the federal government. The 1824, so it took 6 years for this case to go through, decision which struck down Ohio's law was significant as the nation moved further towards recognizing the power of the federal government. So this whole thing transpired in 1818? Okay, yeah, so the question, or someone said 100K, $50,000 on one end, then $100,000 on the other end. Oh, wow. This inflation calculator only goes back to 1913. Okay, here's an 1800s inflation calculator. So what's $100,000 worth today in where did we say? 1819. How much money did my state steal from the federal government? Hold on. $1.69 million the state of Ohio took. The lighting here sucks. Sorry, guys. So,